In 1 Kings chapter 20, we read about how Ben-Hadad of Aram attacked Samaria. He marched out his army and demanded gold and women from Ahab. Ahab agreed to the terms, but Ben-Hadad was looking for a fight. A prophet promised Ahab that the Lord would give him victory, and so Ahab gathered 7,000 men and defeated the Arameans. Ben-Hadad escaped, and the prophet warned Ahab that he would attack again next spring. Next time, Ben-Hadad attacked from the plains, thinking that Israel's God was limited to the mountains, and Israel killed 100,000 soldiers and captured Ben-Hadad as he fled. Later, Ben-Hadad made a deal with Ahab, and Ahab let him go. We then read about a prophet who condemns Ahab. The first prophet goes to a second prophet and says, "Punch me in the face." The second prophet says, "No way." But then the first prophet says, "You will be eaten by a lion for your disobedience." He then goes to a third prophet and says, "Punch me in the face." And the third prophet is like, "Okay." The first prophet then waited on the side of the road for Ahab to pass by and pretended he was someone who had been in a battle. And he says, "I captured a prisoner in battle, and I had another man guard him under penalty of death, but he let him escape. What should I do?" And Ahab is like, "That's your problem, you figure it out." The prophet then says, "I am God's prophet, and you have released a man that God determined should die. It will now be your own life for his, and Israel's for Aram's." And then Ahab went home, sullen and angry. We then read the story of Naboth's vineyard. Ahab wanted Naboth's vineyard, but Naboth wouldn't sell it. So Ahab pouted for a long time until Jezebel helped him come up with a scheme. They hired some thugs to go into a crowd and accuse Naboth of cursing God and the king. The crowd dragged Naboth outside the city and stoned him, and then Ahab acquired the dead man's land. But Elijah arrived with a message from God, saying, "Have you not murdered a man and seized his property? In the place where dogs licked up Naboth's blood, dogs will lick up your blood, yes, yours. I have found you because you have sold yourself to do evil in the eyes of the Lord. I will cut off from Ahab's descendants all who piss against the wall in Israel, slave or free. Dogs will devour Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel." Ahab changed his attitude after this, and he mourned and wore sackcloth, and so God decided to wait until after Ahab's death to destroy his house. We then read about an alliance that is made between Ahab of Samaria and Jehoshaphat of Judah. Jehoshaphat reigned over Judah for 25 years. He was a good king, but kind of a dummy too. He forbade worshipping idols, but failed to destroy them. And he built ships, but they never set sail. The goal of the alliance with Ahab was to attempt to take back territory of Gilead from the Arameans. Now Jehoshaphat wants to inquire of the Lord first, and Ahab's prophets back his battle plan, but Jehoshaphat doesn't buy it. The character of Micaiah, the prophet of Yahweh, is then introduced. Jehoshaphat wants to hear Micaiah's word, but Ahab hates him because of his negative messages about him. Pressure is put on Micaiah to agree with Ahab's prophets, but he refuses to give in. Micaiah is sarcastic, and so Ahab makes him swear an oath of truth. And so he delivers his message. Israel is scattered like sheep without a shepherd. God sits on his throne plotting Ahab's death with the angels. An angel volunteers to be a lying spirit among Ahab's prophets. Suddenly, a random prophet slaps Micaiah, demanding more details. Micaiah says, "You'll get your answers on the day you flee from battle." Ahab locks Micaiah in prison to deal with him after the battle, and Micaiah gives his final message. "If you ever return safely, the Lord has not spoken through me. Mark my words, all you people." Ahab and Jehoshaphat fight the Arameans, and Ahab disguises himself and uses Jehoshaphat as a decoy. The Arameans chase Jehoshaphat, but soon realize their mistake. But then someone shot an arrow at random, and it struck Ahab. The battle raged all day long, and Ahab bled to death in his chariot. The battle was a disaster, and everyone fled back to their hometowns. Ahab's body was brought back to Samaria, and dogs licked the blood off his chariot. Ahaziah replaced Ahab as king of Israel when Ahab died, and he was evil too.